So we have, I would say, amazing three people here. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting panel. We're going to do it more like a conversation. So let's get started. Are you all ready?
We are. Let's discuss when it's 150, right? Before it was like when it's 100, when it's 100. Now it's when it's 150. The bar is high.
Hopefully we're going to get there. Cool. So I think that in general, organic growth is a very big term. And I would like to start with breaking it down into small parts a little bit. From your point of view, what are the most important parts of the business for a Web3 brand when you're talking about organic growth? Is it users? Is it marketing? Is it PR? Is it socials? Would love to hear a bit more from you.
I think when we talk about organic growth, it's about a community. Because I think as a crypto as an industry is one of the great use cases showing the power of community and how something can monetize or our attentions can monetize. Because with the rise of the social media, we all became a product that advertisers came to the platform to show us an ad and we paid with our attention by scrolling. But now, if we are talking about meme tokens or any project that is growing, we saw so many use cases of that community helped the project to grow before actually they were able to ship a product just by uniting around the idea. Therefore, it is the only case where we can actually monetize our own attention. And we saw it's happening with the meme tokens. Therefore, in my opinion, when we talk about organic growth or when we talk about growth generally in crypto, it is about the power of the community and how community's power can be turned into actual cash.
Sure, also, what is it about? Like, what drives the community? What is the common ground of the community?
What drives community? Of course, when we talk about crypto, it's always about the money. The money factor is the X factor of the growth. But in general, I think feeling belonging is very important because until last 10, 15 years, as a kid, you would go to a playground. Now everyone is on the phones. And as a Bitget, we saw 6-time growth on our Gen Z audience. And I think as a Gen Z or as a screen-first generation, you feel belonging when you belong to a certain community or certain idea or certain belief that can bring us together, whether you are playing an online game, whether you are having a digital friends. Therefore, I think being part of a community, you actually gain your own voice back. And as a, let's say, token holder or NFT holder, by going back to the social media, by going back to the community and recruiting more people actually benefits you, and you can have a direct correlation that if I not only just hold, for example, in a traditional setup, you would go and hold a Tesla stock. Eventually, Tesla workers has to build and ship the car and make the money, and if they made the money, your shares will go up. But if you are holding a token, you realize that if you go, you promote that project, you recruit more people, your shares will grow. And you eventually become an angel, ambassador, builder, dreamer, whatever you can name it. You become a part of a team, part of the community member. Therefore, being a part of a community doesn't mean you have to just subscribe to Twitter and to retweet, but actually engage in more than one way and help both your community grow, but eventually you help also your wealth grow through this aspect. Therefore, it is turning win into kind of a win-win situation, and that's what drives that organic growth.
Thank you. Michelle, any thoughts?
From Bitgo's perspective, I would say our business is a little different from the exchanges and the foundations and protocols of the world. We are ultimately the infrastructure, the technology infrastructure, and also business infrastructure of the entire crypto ecosystem. Our community is all of our clients. That's part of our portfolio, and also our community, we need the foundations and also the exchanges, their communities to thrive, them to thrive in order for us to thrive. For those of you guys who don't know Bitgo, we we have been around for 13 years at this point, work with lots of traditional finance companies, the household names on Wall Street, the top exchanges like Bitget within the Web3 space, and also the foundations like ICP, Berachain, Eigenlayer, Town Foundation, etc. So over the years, I would say nothing is organic. All growth comes with hard work, with all of the companies and the employees working at the company. And I think one of the, I guess, like secret sauce for our quote unquote organic growth is a very cohesive, operating in a very cohesive unit from a go-to-market perspective. Everything we launch, we are extremely methodical, all the way from marketing. I know you're a marketing expert in the house, and making sure that there is an agenda, right? We're not spending marketing dollars for the sake of it, because marketing it can get very expensive very quickly, right? Making sure that you're folding in your developers, you're folding in your product managers, your product and marketing managers, and also legal and compliance team, very important for Web3 companies to grow and thrive in the existing crypto environment.
Would you feel that this is like the first step that projects has to think about? If they just raise their first funds, like they already need to think about compliance?
1,000%. I do think I've seen lots of Web3 companies out there where they brush over the topic of legal and compliance, and it gets very things can get very hairy very quickly in terms of are you being ethical when it comes to running your business, right? Are you embracing all of the regulatory regimes and all of the regulatory changes, right? Are you going to get slapped on the wrist a few years down the road when it comes to you're hoping for that, inflection point of that hockey stick growth, and all of a sudden you're getting held back because, you weren't very proficient when it comes to legal and compliance on day one, and aren't being mindful of it, and having to take a huge setback of your business from having to catch up. And the market doesn't wait for you, and when you're doing catch up, you're going to be dated.
So for me, I think when it comes to organic growth, right, I feel the first step is to meet the people where they are. I think we are now moving from a phase of community to hyper-local communities, and if you look into this, and what in Web3 we have seen is your consumer is no more your consumer. They are consumer plus so many things, and it's actually then helps you to actually not find different stakeholders for different things. You can actually sell the same thing to and the driving force here is, of course, what are the key values that community is coming together to do, right? And I think as long as a founder, you are very open and transparent with your communication and your product roadmap and what do you want to do, I have never seen a project having any problem if they do this. The other thing that one has to do is how do you tap into existing Signal-based communities. I don't mean the Signal, the platform, but Signal, there are communities who work on Signal. There is key leaders in the community who do the work, and the community trusts them for the right signal more often than less. So how do you reach to those communities through that? And in a lack of a better word, in our space, we call them KOLs. But I personally feel, in general, community building has been an age-old technique, right from the day of independence of various independence movements globally. And it's the same playbook. There are people who will do more actions in the community, and then there are people who will do very less action, but everybody does some action. So that's how I see this. For organic growth, if the value prop of the product is really good, and it's communicated well, I think it's like bees coming to honey, so of course it will happen.
Just a quick question, but what would you say a good stage for people to start engaging with KOLs, those influencers, those people that help you actually build the community around certain topics?
So first, to engage with more than KOLs like your community, right, you have to be a KOL yourself. you have to have key opinions about your product and very clear understanding on why this product is better than your competitors. Because in Web3, what happens is the moment anything unique comes up, 2 days later, there are 10 products same like them, right, over a weekend. And everybody is now suddenly jumping on that, right? So of course, you get a first mover's advantage. But in general, if somebody is able to communicate like, hey, this is what we are doing, this is, and normally in this global outreach, right, I think global outreach and global adoption is some of local adoption. People sometimes confuse this. I have 10 users here in India, 10 in Vietnam, 10 in US. That doesn't work. So that's how I see this.
Makes sense. Moving on to another question. So brand awareness, user loyalty, partnership, they are all considered to be part of organic growth that the project can experience. That being said, a lot of founders having difficulties with all of those areas and don't know actually how to measure, I would say, marketing impact. What can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how can people actually measure, or projects can actually measure what they're doing on the marketing side?
Honestly, I think before even jumping into measuring, we always have to talk about what is grabbing attention or attracting attention and then commanding an attention. Because sometimes you can see an ad, a post, an influencer talking about something. It doesn't necessarily mean there is a second action, which is a conversion, right? And whether you are operating in a traditional setup or a crypto business, the funnel is a funnel, and you have to build an awareness, then have certain triggers that will help the user to convert and eventually become a loyal customer.
But conversion can be a bit more like sales team, no?
That is very much debatable. What is an actual conversion and where that happens and what triggers it? And the greatest mistake recently I saw by the founders, they always want to fast track that decision process, and they want to measure everything, and they want to build campaigns that has very much transaction. Therefore, I know that almost all, for example, from the exchange perspective, almost all exchanges crack the code through the affiliate marketing and through the onboarding influencers. But then your relationship with your affiliate and end user becomes very transactional and very nominal, which in a longer run, first of all, hurts the business. Second of all, it means the moment you stop spending, you don't have that virality effect. Therefore, I can give a great example what, as a Bitget we did several years ago. We decided that it's not only about the transactional relationship in order to grow. We went and we partnered with Lionel Messi to become our brand ambassador, which put us on the map of the big things. First of all, people start thinking that if Messi endorsing this brand, it is trustworthy. Second of all, definitely more people knows Messi, and he eventually went on a World Cup, and Argentina won. And we gained so much brand exposure through the Messi and that partnership that was at least 10 times worth the money spent rather than doing that one-on-one transactional relationship. And today we partnered with La Liga, where we have an access to 2.5 billion Spanish football lovers globally, that this kind of a scale can't be reached with one-on-one, every aspect measured kind of a relationship. Therefore, I would always recommend that, yes, being able to measure is important, but transaction or the money value is not the only way to measure. You can measure your brand voice, you can measure the reach, your exposure, and all the other aspects that are still metrics can give you a better understanding if you are doing in terms of the ROI, but the direct conversion should not be the only measure that we focus on. But unfortunately, today, I see that more and more founders just focus on that number. How much money I spent, how much users I got, how much that user spent on my platform. This is not the only measure.
Yeah, it might be even a bit basic to measure it like that, because you know, for example, that the Messi partnership for sure helped the brand, but you don't know how to show the numbers. Michelle, what do you think about it?
So from Bitgo's perspective, I've been at Bitgo for the past 4 years. I've been through lots of ups and downs within the crypto industry, which every single year I feel like the marketing strategy needs to be a little bit different in terms of attracting net new logos to join Bitgo and also continuously expanding our existing customer base. From our perspective, with everything you just mentioned, I definitely resonate. On top of that, I would say like Bitgo's secret sauce in terms of marketing is a very, very strong collaboration between us and our partners. And when I say partners, I'm talking about our product partners and also our customers, who we consider them as partners of ours. And we continuously to help their business grow through our customer advocacy program, where we're constantly listening to their feedback, both negative and positive. Especially we welcome and love the negative feedback. That's the only way for us to grow. And also making sure that we're able to continuously listen to our clients, listen to their business growth and where they're headed in the next 6 months and 12 months. I know that within crypto, you can't really predict too far out because you never know what's going to happen. But at least we're hoping to build our product and making sure that our product growth constantly fuel our customers' growth and making sure that we're right there when clients are realizing that they're about to use it or they can leverage certain things and capabilities that Bitgo provides. So just trying to make strategic bets and trying to make sure that we're always ahead of the game and one step ahead of our customers.
Thank you. Shashi.
So when it comes to metrics, right, it can be actually, it's a two-edged sword. Like what happens is it depends upon how you comprehend this matrix and what do you want to get out of it. And it also depends upon what Vugar was saying. Like normally how I see this is there's an adoption funnel and there are 4 steps to it. You have to evangelize people, you have to educate them, you have to actually incubate them, and then that's launch. And this goes for each persona in your stakeholder. I'm not saying it's just for users, it's for investors, it's for your, if I talk about a protocol, it's for our builders, developers, founders, everybody, right? And depending upon what stage your product is in the funnel, in terms of reaching out, your metrics will be very different. So if you are at an evangelization level, your matrix is just for people to know that you exist. And that should be, if at that stage, if somebody starts tracking like how many people are coming to my app and then buying something or doing this action, this is not going to work. Like normally when some of our startups comes for incubation, I ask them 3 questions. Who is your most valued customer? What action you want them to take? And why will they take that action? If you have answers to these 3 questions, half the journey is done. So what we have done, like we run a program called ICP Hubs, which is global network of decentralized ecosystem in 30 plus countries. And just to give you an example of how big this ecosystem has become, like we have, and I personally don't believe that there has to be a single community. I feel like it's like a snowflake model of communities that you organize around yourself. So we have like small communities of 100, 200, 300 people, and the sum of those communities globally in these 33 countries is around 250,000. And the network effect of that, every quarter, and you can go and check it on our Twitter profile of ICP Hubs Network, every quarter we do these town halls. We see almost like 1 million people tuning in. These are 24 hours non-stop town halls where we talk about all the projects coming out of, what's happening in the community and everything. And this is all organic. This is all organic in terms of how you do. And once we have created this platform, this helps every ecosystem project in ICP or anybody to actually tap in and use that, right? So the role of foundations in ecosystem building, with my experience with working with multiple foundations, what I've seen is, and actually growing them from scratch, is you have to prepare the ground. Most of foundations think that if we just give grant, the ground will be prepared. There's a lot of work. Like I have a slide where I have literally written, it takes a village to raise a project, and you need multiple hands around this. So that's how I feel about all of this.
Would you say that for more established products, customer success is also a key thing in the process?
Of course. Long run, all these metrics, like let's make no mistake, like there's nothing called Web 2 and Web 3. It's just tech. And tech has same rules. Your initial success can be little different, and the journey can be different, and the economic incentives and mechanism can be different, especially in Web 3, because it's a native internet economy. But eventually, it's your product and the quality of the product, and as Michelle was saying, and how ethically you are running your business over a period of time, which will make you survive in the long run.
Makes sense. It doesn't work sometimes, by the way, so sorry for that. Cool. Moving on to bringing genuine users, I would say to Web3 in general, it's a challenge. What kind of tips do you have for new founders that are only just getting started and, I don't know, just launched their first product or whatever?
I remember 5, 6, 10 years ago in this kind of a setup, so we would always tell how great Web3 is and how everyone gonna come to Web3. Then last 2, 3 years, narrative changed. We are talking about how we have to go to Web 2 to talk to people. And recently, the greatest example, I think, was the Tone Foundation and all these Telegram mini apps coming, because they had a billion kind of a user base, and eventually all these games were actually going to people and helping them to onboard to the Web3 without actually understanding what they're doing, and eventually teaching them what is a wallet, how to connect, and how to extract, and incentivize them through the money they made by tapping in order to onboard them to this journey. And I think that was a great example how smart moves can help to onboard more users without actually telling them that now take a paper, write your seed phrase, now go hide it somewhere. And that was another reason, as a Bitget, we decided to invest $30 million to Tone Foundation. And I believe this journey will follow, because recently there was a news about possible partnership between Ripple and Apple, and many other opportunities to actually bring Web3 to the retail users without actually putting the burden on them. And if really happens, I think it will be a great accelerator to onboard more users. And I always say, for example, when Apple introduced Apple Pay, we all went on tapping and paying without actually knowing how this technology works, because we don't have to know how technology works as long as it benefits us. Same thing should happen with the Web3. We need to develop more tools and products that solve real-world problems without actually explaining people how it does. It should be so intuitive that as a user, okay, I want to send money, I would rather send it on whatsoever app is it, because it is faster and quicker, and it solves my 1, 2, 3 pain points. Then I really don't care, and I shouldn't be caring how to store, how these things work, what the ledger is, what the blockchain is, because for a daily user, it's too much information. Is not needed even to be educated. As long as it works, as long as it's safe and secure and fast and efficient, then people will be using.
And with maybe like 2 or 3 clicks, instead of like going to a DEX or whatever and starting to go through like 5 steps in order just to get to the point where you do the transaction.
Definitely, like the barrier of adoption is still so high, even though for last 10, 15 years, we're talking about it, we are building more and more tools for it, but still it is very complicated.
Yeah, I would say you attract who you are, and people who are like you, or people who are like you attract, they gravitate towards you. So from Bitgo's perspective, we embrace regulations, we embrace compliance, and organically, right? A lot of exchanges out there, a lot of foundations out there, financial institutions gravitate towards us because we share common and similar beliefs. However, at the same time, right, like for all of the Web3 founders out there, or Web2, what Shashi mentioned, it doesn't matter, Web2, Web3, it's a company after all, and you go back to the fundamentals. You just have to accept, right? There are going to be companies who are not here for a long time, and they are here for short-term gain, and that's okay. As a company, we don't discriminate, and we welcome all types of clients, and we figure out, who are the ones who are worthy for us to nurture and partner with for long term, and spend more time with them.
So, first of all, the question is, what is our advice to a young upcoming founder, right? So in my eyes, and me being a tech founder in my past life, in my eyes, there are two types of founders. One who has a lot of money and one who doesn't have a lot of money. Let's start with that. And how then your journey starts is very different. The second thing is, let's not have this thing that I will build and people will come. It never happens. The third thing, especially in Web3, please understand, for any tech to get really well adopted, it takes 7 to 8 years. And the only tech that right now in Web3 is adopted well are Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this justifies that statement that I'm making. And of course, there are a lot of other who are catching up very fast, and of course, it's how ecological succession happens, that somebody clears the forest and then other plants grow up very faster. But coming back to the main premise of this, in my opinion, I think you should start like normally the journey, what I've seen, I'm going to, right now I'm just focusing on building the tech. Then you will keep building the tech your whole life. The day you start working on your idea, the day you start marketing it, if you want organic growth, because then you are getting constant feedback. And that's how you even improve your product over a period of time. If you're not talking, please understand, as an entrepreneur, you're not a research scientist. You have to sell a product. And for that, it's like I'm trying to swim on my carpet. I will only go into the water when I'm 100% ready and knows all the technique. Come on, no matter how many technique you know, you are going to drown at the first thing. That's how you start swimming. So yeah, that's how it happens. Like, you have to start marketing from day one.
How would you say that applies, though, to meme coins, for example? Because over there, obviously, you don't develop the tech, you don't work on the tech. It's a bit different. Like, how would you consider that to be?
So when it comes to meme coins, right, it's also a product. I see it as a product. And the way people market it, right, if you see, before even they start building the meme coin, they start building the community. Genuine ones. I'm not talking about one who is going to run away with your money. But if you see genuine ones, people don't actually know, to launch a meme coin, you need to work day and night for 4 months to launch a proper one. And I know a couple of teams, and I know how hard, like, they have literally locked themselves in some villa. Of course, it's nice to be locked into a villa than a dungeon, but in Bali or somewhere where you are actually working on it with devs and whatnot. People think meme coin is like, just put up a smart contract, put it up there on some platform, launch it, do a bonding curve, and then you are set. No, man, it doesn't work like this. Sorry. Like, it takes a lot of effort to launch a successful meme coin.
Very interesting. For the next one, we're going to actually start with Michelle. So what would be your advice to founders building and scaling a solution that requires regulatory oversight?
Ooh, that's a great question, and perfect question for Bitgo, given that we have spent lots and lots of money over the past couple years working with all of the regulatory bodies across the world, from APAC to Middle East to the America side of the house. I would say one of many Bitgo secret weapons is our compliance and legal team. Our compliance and legal team are the most solution-oriented bunch, and they have been very much in the trenches over the past couple years, working very closely with MAS in Singapore, where Bitgo now has a Bitgo Singapore entity, with Bitgo Vara for the upcoming Bitgo Dubai entity to open up, and with BaFin in Germany. So now that we have Bitgo Europe fully compliant with MiCA regulation coming down the pipe in 2025, and of course on the US side of the house, NOIDFS, the SEC, I would say going back to your compliance and legal team, definitely factor them in on day one for all of the decision makings and go to market, and just hire the right people. And legal and compliance won't be the painful team that holds your product launch back, and that you think that they're the ultimate bottleneck for your company growth.
Perfect. Anyone else has anything to say about it, or we move on?
We can definitely move on. Just as a small remark, definitely figure your compliance out, because otherwise things become very problematic. But on the other end, as an entrepreneur, I always think that it is a very hard choice whether you have to hire a lawyer or a developer, and most of the time you would rather hire a developer to ship a product fast. Therefore, make your choices smart.
They're all very expensive.
That's what they say, at least. Vugar, actually, for the next one, I want to start with you. I think that's going to be interesting in one sense. You also mentioned mini dApps on Telegram and Ton. I think that in Web3 in general, a lot of projects are experiencing very rapid, I would say, growth. All of a sudden. With Telegram mini dApps, we all saw it, Hamster Combat, Pixelverse, whatever, other projects. How can projects use, I would say, this high period of time to actually create some sustainable growth?
I think sustainable growth is very slow growth. Rapid growth is never sustainable, because then you need a catalyst. Either it is an airdrop, right, or it is some financial incentive. Most of the Telegram mini apps, in a day of like actually going to the listing process, they spend around $500 million in the payments out. It means it is actually $500 million invested in the marketing, even though they make 40, 50 million users. But it's a huge money, and unless you have a strong backers, you can't, as an everyday startup with 4 people, you can't build that. Same as mentioned, a good meme token takes an army to ship. Any good project takes an army to ship. Unless you have at least you need to work from 5, 6 to 2 months to 2 years to have that overnight success that randomly you became so big. Everyone's like, wow, how it happened. And I can give you an example, like whenever people see me, they're like, oh, you just started, like Bitget, how you guys? And I'm like, no, for 6 years, we've been working day and night. It took us 2 years to come up with a copy trading, another 2 years to partner with Messi, another 2 years to buy a wallet and make it big. Therefore, every like an overnight random success actually is a huge planning in the back. Therefore, next time when you look at someone and you think that they became famous overnight, probably they didn't. Therefore, you won't become either. You have to go back and work very hard.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, basically.
Always.
Shashi, any thoughts?
I personally feel like I agree with Vugar. Like that's how it works. Like nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens overnight. Like for ICP, we started building at 2014, 2015, and it took us like 6-7 years to build this. One of the best tech in the entire industry when it comes to this, right? And I think to keep this all sustained, right? You need to have clear roadmap both on the tech and on the user side. Like what incentive? One of the biggest risks that protocols face is after a certain point, their community is actually not behaving the way they thought they should behave. So you should be like taking your community together with you over a period of time and be transparent and telling them, okay, this is my tech roadmap and this is my community roadmap. Normally what people release is tech roadmap. They forget to, like people who actually helped you with those initial pump and growth suddenly you forget them. That doesn't happen. Like then of course,
we see like so many like really good products coming us, and they're like, can you please list us? We're like, but you have like 300 people on your Twitter. They're like, yeah, but like if you list us, we'll become famous, and we have a really good product. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You have to build your community, or you have to start building your community before you start building your product. And I think that is one key factor. Most developers, especially like the teams that usually consist of 3-4 founders that are developers, and they never have like a community or marketing person, they struggle a lot with them.
So if you ask me, like, not from the regulatory and tech point of view, but ICOs were a very good way to actually first start building your community, then the tech. And with full disclaimer, not talking about the regulatory side of this, but that was a very nice way of understanding like how your community is responding to you as a thought leader, and sometimes Web3 founders should actually understand you're not building a cult. Let's not go there. Like let's try to be humble, and let's try to actually focus on what your community you have promised to deliver.
Very interesting. We actually have to finish. We could have stayed here probably 30 minutes and talk about airdrops and whether they can be applied in Web 2 as a mechanism or not. But this is our time to say goodbye. So thank you all for joining us for this panel today, and for the amazing panelists.
Thank you.